Welcome back to the Sage Skills Lab, where we exist for one reason, to turn insight into action. Every single video here gives you one science-backed skill, one practice you can start today, and one key takeaway that'll make you a sharper, stronger leader. And today we're going to show you exactly how your personality is or might be shaping the way you use AI, where it's working in your favor, and maybe where it might be quietly working against you. All right. So let me ask you a question, and I'd like you to answer it honestly, please. Have you ever read an AI output, felt like something was slightly off, but you used it anyway? I mean, come on, we all have. But not because you were lazy, not because any one of us was in a rush, just because you looked at it and it looked polished, authoritative, and confident. Well, if that sounds familiar to you, you're not alone. And you're probably not being careless either. So what is it then? Well, we all might be some of those characteristics at times, and some of us might be hardwired naturally that way. But it's more likely that your personality dynamics are really at play here. And until you understand them, they'll keep running your AI decisions without you even knowing it. So I'd like to talk about what a lot of people aren't discussing in the AI conversation. It's not just about the AI tools that you use or how good your prompts are. Actually using AI effectively and making sure you understand what you're using it for and how it's affecting the quality of your work is about who you are as much as it is about what you get out of it. And your natural personality traits can affect whether you naturally scrutinize AI outputs or you just accept them, whether you challenge the algorithm or whether you defer to it, and whether you become more effective with AI or whether or not you just tend to use it to get by. And today, I want to talk about how we can change that, how we can make sure you've got one critical skill, one action you can use before you go back and use AI the next time, and the key takeaway that you can use to actually make you the smarter, better leader. Now, before we get into 3 traits that are critical, I need to share a quick foundation for those of you who haven't seen any of our work before. The Big Five underpins our personality profiles, and the Big Five is the most scientifically validated personality framework in the world. It measures 5 core dimensions of how humans naturally think, behave, and even respond under pressure. And at TalentSage, we use it as the backbone of our 5-step profile because it's scientifically grounded. You can rely on it. And because understanding your natural behavioral wiring is a key starting point for developing your ability to work with and lead others, including AI. So today we're going to show you how 3 of those 5 dimensions and how they interact can affect your personal AI adoption style and timing. First is conscientiousness. If you score high here, high in planning, self-discipline, and achievement striving, you have a natural instinct to think before you act. In an AI context, that's a real advantage. You're more likely to pause before accepting an output, check the logic, and ask whether or not this conclusion actually makes sense. In other words, your conscientiousness is your built-in quality control. Next is openness to experience, your drive for curiosity and your willingness to challenge assumptions. If you score high here and you naturally ask what else could be true, you'll push the AI further, exploring alternative interpretations and catch the scenarios it missed. If you score lower, you tend to fall into accepting what's proven and familiar, which means you're more likely to accept the AI's first answer and just move on. And then finally, third is where things can get complicated. And we're going to spend a little bit more time here because this is where most leaders, even the smartest ones, have a blind spot they don't see coming. And that third trait that I mentioned is agreeableness. And while it's a superpower when you're working with people in times of uncertainty, in the time of AI, it can actually be your most significant derailer. And the reason why rests in the 3 subcomponents that actually are part of what comprises it. So if you score high in these 3 subcomponents, they're cooperation, modesty, and trust, you're naturally collaborative. So you may not see yourself or your ideas as superior, and you value others' views. Now, those are genuine strengths when you're talking about working with people, but in the specific context of challenging AI outputs, High scores in these areas can actually cause you difficulties if you don't challenge and override your own tendencies. So, what I mean is that you're more likely to accept authoritative outputs without challenging them. AI always presents itself as confident. Have you ever seen an AI actually tell you that it's hallucinating? Not really. High agreeableness says, who am I to argue with the algorithm? So you don't. You don't want to challenge it. And next, you're probably also more likely to avoid friction if the team has already decided to trust the system. If everyone around you is moving forward with an AI recommendation, speaking up is likely to feel like a disruption to you, so you may not actually want to disturb the natural flow. So you're much more likely to stay quiet, even if your instincts are telling you that something is wrong. And last, you're more likely to discount your own judgment. When the output looks credible, you're likely to doubt your own doubts, so you override your instinct that was actually correct. And this is important because these three traits don't operate in isolation either. They can actually interact. So this is where many smart leaders get trapped. They get tripped up by their own natural tendencies. Your conscientiousness makes you exactly the right person to scrutinize AI outputs, but your agreeableness may be the tendency that stops you from doing it. And that tendency, made visible through data, is where the real development begins. And at TalentSage, this is exactly the kind of dynamic tension we surface using the 5-step profile to help you map your natural personality baseline. And because your trait profile is unique to you, the development focus that you use actually has to match it too. Here's how to calibrate based on where you land and develop the right kind of development program for yourself. First, if you score high in conscientiousness, try channeling that planning instinct into a very structured questioning protocol. You'll need to add interrogate the AI output as an explicit step in your workflow. Make it a process step, not a judgment call, and you'll be fine. Your natural tendency is to follow process, so use that. Use your natural tendency to leverage your ability to scrutinize the output. And if you score low in openness, you likely default to the familiar, the proven. That's not wrong, but it means that you need to deliberately ask AI about its sources and alternative perspectives before you act on any of its suggestions. Before you finalize any of the AI output, you can actually find a person or another data source, or even change your prompts to ask for alternative points of view, maybe even areas of challenge, to help you stretch your thinking by reviewing all output options. And if you're the one who scores high in agreeableness, reframing how you think about challenging the output will make the biggest difference for you. If you can think about challenging AI output as a professional responsibility, not about conflict or challenge, you'll find it's easier to question its validity, its credibility. Your team is relying on you for judgment. In fact, AI doesn't have accountability for the outcome, you do. Reframing that conflict to professional responsibility gives high agreeableness leaders like yourself permission to speak up because it repositions dissent as care, not confrontation. And the skill that can help you address any of these traits, wherever your natural tendencies fall, is one of the more underrated leadership capabilities. It's called constructive dissent. Constructive dissent isn't a big, flashy technical term. It's basically the building of a habit for treating every AI output as a starting point for thinking, not a final answer. And in a world where AI outputs still amaze many of us, it can also appear more authoritative than it should really appear. And this is where you add your sense checking, your human in the loop, to really make sure that AI doesn't mislead us. The way you build constructive dissent is by simply teasing out the underlying assumptions driving AI's input. You can use your natural curiosity, your critical thinking skills, any of those areas, but you can also use AI to question itself, to interrogate the output. And by asking yourself about the AI output underlying assumptions driving it, you'll accomplish three things. You'll activate your conscientiousness, you'll create a space and openness you need to explore new possibilities, whatever your scores are, and you'll give your agreeableness a structured professional reason to push back, not a personal one. It won't feel so much like conflict or a challenge. And you're not challenging AI out of disagreement. You're challenging it because this is what great leadership in the age of AI actually looks like. Keep in mind, your personality is not a fixed limiting factor. It's a starting point. And when you can see exactly how your natural instincts are shaping your AI decisions and your work, the strengths to lean into and the derailers to manage, you become significantly harder to replace and significantly more effective. If you want to know exactly where you and your team sit, take a look at TalentSage's AI Readiness report, and you'll find the data that most teams have access to. Our AI Readiness report maps your team's personality traits against the specific behavioral demands of working alongside AI, so you know precisely what each person needs to develop, a sort of personalized roadmap to help them use AI most effectively, to help you lead the team in using AI most effectively. And if you want a qualified coach who specializes in helping leaders build these skills fast, the link below connects you to the TalentSage team directly. Let me know which of these 3 traits resonates most with you and how you use AI right now, and how those experiments and the skills that you're practicing actually help you go farther. I read every response. Just place it in the comments below. And remember, until the next time, be human, lead better.